Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast, where we interview everyone from James Beard award-winning chefs to local mixologists, winemakers, breweries, and so much more. We've got an awesome episode lined up for you today. But before we get into that, head to atasteofaz.com so you can subscribe to our quarterly magazine and email newsletter to find all of the best places to eat and drink around town. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Now let's get into the episode.
All right, so we're here at Barcina. It's my first time in, dude.
Yeah, welcome.
I'm a little embarrassed to say that, honestly. Like, I feel you're such a huge supporter of ours, and I'm a huge fan of Hush and Fire at Will, and was a huge fan of Vanilla Gorilla. So there's no reason I wouldn't be a fan of Barcina, but here we are, man. So
welcome. Thanks
for having us in, dude. We're here with the legendary Chef Dom, and you're the man.
Oh,
you are, man.
Appreciate it.
I hit you with that hard thing, the compliment to see how you would handle that. But
appreciate it.
No, man, I got to give it to you. Just a personal thanks for over the last few years of us really kind of finding our stride and growing. You've been a great supporter of us, man. So
well, you guys do a great job, and I'm happy to support.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. You were one of the still talked about features of our festival last year. So
cool.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, that was a dude over by the smoker. I'm like, yeah, that was
a good time. You guys did a really nice job with that.
Thanks, man.
Festival.
Thank you. Dom, thanks for having us in, dude. We did an episode. Probably over a year ago. You and Luke sat down at Hush,
maybe a
right?
couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was an early episode, I think. Yeah. So now I told him, like, dude, I get to talk to Dom this time. So with Barcina opening up, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. So yeah, dude. So we're here in Barcina, and it used to be, when you first opened the spot, it was the Vanilla Gorilla.
Yep.
Right. Craft beer focused spot, which I assume then you're a craft beer guy.
Yeah. I love craft beer.
Yeah. I saw you I saw you at, was it the wing throwdown at Casey's Woodshed that Chef Adam Allison put on, and you had your church music shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, where do I get one of those? And you're my size too. I'm like, so I know they have my size.
Oh, yeah. Dixon.
Yeah. And that was a brand I didn't realize until a couple years ago. I think they did something with Cider Core. I'm like, shit, that's an Arizona brand.
Yeah. Tempe.
Yeah. Dude, that's badass. Just keeps adding up the level of why Arizona's so awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, Barcina, what, you guys are almost at your 1 year anniversary, right?
Yeah, and September.
Okay, excellent, man. And how did this come about? Like, what led to the transition from the Vanilla Gorilla to Barcina?
So we opened Vanilla Gorilla in 2021.
Okay,
so we were just coming out of COVID year. Things were kind of wonky. And I wanted to do something that, God forbid something happened again, we were able to still be open, generate some sales with to-go stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
And the space came available next door to Hush. So Hush is literally right next door to us.
Share wall, right?
And so it was kind of the idea was like, oh, we can have this like cool little beer bar next to the restaurant. So, Hush gets pretty busy. So sometimes we have some overflow. So it's like, oh, go next door, grab a drink, whatever, some beer and wine. And, I had a passion, still do, for craft beer and all things. And, it just seemed like a cool, fun thing, right?
Yeah.
I have some buddies who own some beer bars locally, and, they were doing well. And I was like, all right, no brainer, right? There's nothing like that up in North Scottsdale.
Yep.
Let's give it a go. So we did, and we opened, and, it was super fun, and we learned a lot. I just think at the end of the day, we might have hit the tail end of the craft beer movement.
Sure.
And I think where we're at up in North Scottsdale, it's an older, more affluent crowd, if you want to say that.
Yep.
They like their liquor.
Yeah.
And, the beer and wine is cool, but, the middle-aged man likes his vodka soda, and they like their cheap, light American Pilsners. And,
sure,
I do too. I can't hate on that. But I just think for the neighborhood, it wasn't what the neighborhood wanted. I think they wanted something with a full bar and more food.
Okay.
And it was never meant to be a chefy thing. We had chips and dips, and we had hot dogs and, stuff to munch on while you're drinking beer.
Phenomenal versions of those.
Well,
I got into
appreciate
that a little bit. Yeah.
And, people kind of were like, they were thrown off by it. Like, oh, you're like this fancy chef. Like, why am I eating French onion dip?
Yeah.
Or why am I eating a hot dog? And I was like, well, you're also at a beer bar called the Vanilla Gorilla. Like, what do you think you were getting into? Right.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of ran its course. It was fun while it lasted, but at the end of the day, like I got to look at the numbers, and it just didn't make sense to continue on. So
yeah,
we shut down June of last year and decided to switch it up completely and add some food and full bar and change the decor and just go for a totally different concept. So we ended up punching a door through to next door, so we're able to like utilize, and we kind of merged Hush with this place.
Okay.
So we built like a little kitchen in the back of Hush. We're able to like utilize the walk-in over here, and so we wanted to make this something that wasn't gonna exactly compete with Hush.
Sure.
So, but it's still like my style of food. It's a lot of share plates, and a full craft cocktail bar, and obviously you can see that there's typical regular dining, but we also have like lounge seating. So if you want to come in and just have drinks, but you can still eat at the lounge. It's still full service, the bar everywhere.
Yeah.
But we wanted to give our guests like an opportunity to, come and hang in a dark and moody space and enjoy some cocktails and some cool little small bites.
I dig it, man. I dig it because Hush is incredible. Love Hush. I mean, that's one of the places I always recommend to people. They're like, oh man, we're in Phoenix. Where do we go? I'm like, Hush is always, I'm always throwing you out there, dude. So, and I like that, but Hush is not a place that you would just go and just have a couple cocktails, right? Like, I
mean, you can. Hush is, we opened Hush and it was, it was just a neighborhood restaurant.
Yeah.
I think it morphed into something a little different. I think it's a little bit more of the fine dining date spot, but I still think, I'd like Hush to go and just on a regular Wednesday night and grab some dinner and a drink at the bar, and you can sit and watch all the cooks make your food and do all that. And it's, it's a cool experience. And, so I still feel that, we utilize this as like not Hush's waiting room, but a lot of people come and they'll have drinks or appetizers and then still go have dinner at Hush. But there are entrees on the menu here, so you could still sit and have a full dinner here. And like Hush, the menu's kind of constantly evolving and changing, and whatever's fresh or seasonal, we're switching it up.
Dude, some of this stuff sounds incredible. So the Sonoran pasta, you use Sonoran.
Oh yeah, gotta use my buddy Brent.
Yeah, dude, he does some incredible stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. With what is pappardelle?
Pappardell's like a thick, flat noodle.
Okay.
So if you think like linguine, but wider.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, dude, I just get giddy when I look at your menus, man, because I know, and I've had your food, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what gremolata is, but I know it's incredible.
Honestly, it's just like some chopped herbs and some fresh citrus zest.
Yeah, that sounds cooler though. I think that sounds cooler. Yeah, but so I would say about Vanilla Gorilla, it was a great spot, man, and it was. I mean, just the vibe of the decor. I don't know who on your team like comes up with branding and stuff like that, but I think you've always nailed that. But Vanilla Gorilla specifically, like the logo and the coloring, it was just like, dude, this is awesome. And you know, and we live. I live like probably about 30 minutes north of here. I'm like at Tatum or 19th Avenue in Jomax. So this was one of my closer, craft beer bars. Come in, grab a 4-pack or whatever, and have a beer or two while I'm here.
Yeah, right? For sure.
But we came last time I think I was here was when Chula did their pop-up outside. So I always thought it was cool that you did kind of those things. And what a genius like move to, sometimes when you have a restaurant and you've got, people have got time between when their reservation is and when they arrive or when they want to arrive. You're like, oh, you should go, you can go to this place and have a drink, and you're usually directing them to somebody else's business, right? Which isn't such a bad thing, right? You're helping, people out, but when you can direct them to your own, that's even better, right?
It is, but it's almost like a gift and a curse because, I wouldn't have opened this concept originally in the space next to Hush.
Barcina specifically. Okay.
Right. Like, I'm having two restaurants right next door to each other. can hurt sometimes
Sure.
because we're kind of cannibalizing our regular clientele base,
Yeah.
right, for the neighborhood. So people that would normally come into Hush might skip Hush and come here,
Yeah.
or they might skip here to go to Hush, and
Yeah.
then I might not get that weekly business if they
That's
go
what you're
somewhere
saying.
else. So,
Yeah.
but it is cool to have them. We have Nelson's Meat and Fish
Nelson's is
right across the
that's
parking
right.
lot.
Okay. Yeah.
The Rooster's right there. We've sent tons of people there, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So it's cool to have like this little hub in this little parking lot in the strip mall of like cool little restaurants and bars and stuff.
Yeah. This is great. This is a great area. I mean, it's all up and down Scottsdale Road, whether you're far south on Scottsdale Road or all the way up. I mean, you even have the Chula that's up. I mean, it's not on Scottsdale Road, or is it?
No,
it's Greyhawk or something. Right? Yeah. But just a great, there's some really great food around here. And I think it's cool too that this is like your hood, man. Like this, like you grew up here.
I grew up in this neighborhood. I went to Chaparral High School down the street and still live in the neighborhood. And, I've obviously left over the years and come back. And, but yeah, I mean, this is where we're at. And I feel like this neighborhood was lacking for, like a cool chef driven neighborhood spot.
Yeah.
There's lots of big chains around here.
Sure.
And, you got your Kierlands and all that stuff, but to have like a cool, intimate, 60, 70 seat chef driven restaurant, it just wasn't in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Did you always have that goal? Like once you kind of started down the food path, like I want to have some spots in my
neighborhood? I always wanted to open my own spots. And I always wanted to do kind of my take on food. But, now that I've done it and I have 3 restaurants, I plan to still do more, but now I'm like fighting with myself, between like the chefy side who's like, oh, let's do a new concept and let's, reinvent the wheel again. Or it's like, do I just go and open another Fire at Will in another part of town, and it's already set and the menu's good and, I can staff it easier and it's less brain damage. So,
yeah,
it's just the constant struggle within.
Yeah. Is that kind of for me, I'm a creative at heart, but with my skills and my experience, I'm also business and sales and so I've always had that those two sides. Is that naturally for you too?
Yeah. Like, my wife laughs because it's hard for me to just like sit still and not be doing 2 things at once.
Yeah.
Like I can't. So I'm constantly even just on my phone creating new menu items or looking at stuff or just trying to come up with new things. So, I mean, I've got menus on my phones for 5 different restaurants, and it's just like, but finding the right space and, the time in the market and does it make sense? And, raising capital, things aren't cheap anymore,
Sure.
From opening Hush back in 19, I think we spent $250,000. And by the time we opened Fire at Will, it was more than double that.
Yeah.
And it already had hoods and walk-ins, and so it's just, things are crazy expensive right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a brutal industry anyways, right? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of notorious for that. And I don't even know who would be second, as far as that goes, but, and it hasn't gotten any easier over the years. So, to see you doing well and thriving and now having 3 concepts in a span of 6 years, right? Yeah. I mean, so with the business side of it, did that always come natural to you as well? Like, did you always have it, or is that something you had to kind of develop more?
No, I think I learned that. Yeah. The food side, the creative side came natural.
Okay. Yeah.
And, I spent my early years kind of honing that part of my craft and really learning how to cook and understanding flavors and seasonality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really till I started at LGO Hospitality.
Okay.
When I became kind of engulfed in the business side of things and learning how to operate and run P&Ls and doing all that stuff. And then found out, I actually enjoy this aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
And got pretty good at it. So, I spent almost 6 years with them opening restaurants and moving to LA and moving back and, eventually felt confident enough in my ability. Like I always knew how to cook, but now it's like, all right, I feel like I know how to actually run a restaurant.
Yeah. Which is that's a crucial piece of it, right?
Oh, it's huge. So many people get into this business because they think they're good at cooking or, their buddies come over for a dinner party and they're like, oh, this is the best thing. You should open a restaurant, and they have no idea like actually what it takes to, and behind the scenes and the things that you have to do and labor and toilet breaks. And it's like, it's just never ending putting
Yeah.
out fires. So
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be a glutton for punishment. It's not right at a certain level of at least accepting it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If you go into it thinking, "Oh man, this is gonna be great. We're gonna have," nah, man, shit's gonna break down like the first day, right? Like stuff that you don't even expect. But you just that's what I think I love about food and beverage too. It's a very resilient bunch of people, right? It's people that are doing it because they love it, right? They're not like, oh, I'm looking to, retire early and with a billionaire. Like, well, you're in the wrong business.
You're definitely in the wrong business. But you see a lot of guys getting out of the industry, and for anybody who's hiring in the corporate world, if they've worked in restaurants, man, I would definitely give them a hard look, because they're workers, and they can put up with a lot, and they can multitask, and so it's a tough business, but it's something I love. And as I've gotten older and more involved, my roles have obviously changed. I'm not cooking anymore day to day, and I'm not in the window doing expo, and now I'm kind of managing on a macro level and overseeing a lot of things and dealing with insurance brokers and rent and landlords and doing all the other stuff. And kind of honing in and training my chefs and my managers so that they can kind of turn around and train the cooks and servers and stuff. And it kind of rolls downhill.
How do you like that?
I enjoy it. Like mentoring, training, doing all that stuff is probably my favorite part of the business.
Okay.
Is really like working with guys and girls and just teaching them what I know, and by no means do I know everything. Like I'm still learning every day.
Yeah.
But kind of seeing their growth, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's what's mentorship is about, right? Like good mentorship is sharing experience, right? Not preaching and not saying this is how you should do it. It's like, and that's where the value is, right? I worked at University of Phoenix for 10 years. I was an academic advisor, and there's so many paths we can go down with that job, right? But that was one of the things that I always kind of took pride in, the fact that our professors that we had at the bachelor's level and higher were currently working in the field, right? So it's like you're learning from somebody who's working in it, right? It's not theoretical. It's not like I read this in the book, so this is how you should do this because everything lines up on paper. Dude, crumble that paper up and throw it away, because the experience is what it's really about.
Yeah, it's like that saying, like, those who can't do teach or whatever. But
yeah.
I mean, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to teach. So.
For sure. Well, you're doing a good job, man.
Yeah,
doing a good job. So Barcina, kind of run us through the menu a little bit here. I mean, because, like I said, or like you were saying, there's a wide range of things. There's just little small things of, I see like hummus and stuff like that. But then there's also, I see a French dip on there. My eye just caught that one.
We do our popovers. With like a cacio e pepe butter. So lots of pecorino cheese, lots of black pepper, fresh popovers out of the oven. The crispy potato pave, it's almost like a giant tater tot, if you will, but just like layered super thin potato in duck fat, and then panko breaded, deep fried. And then we pour a little roux over.
What is that?
Roux is like a saffron mayonnaise almost.
Damn,
and then we've got like white bean hummus, we've got peaches and burrata, we've got this just beautiful like prosciutto with melons from McClendon's, and
that's pretty cool. I like
24-month age Parmesan, just simple like stuff that you kind of want to nosh on while you're drinking. Mussels escabeche, so that's like a cold pickled mussel dish with aioli that you kind of like, we serve with grilled noble bread, kind of peeled it up.
Nice.
That. We've got pasta. We do have a French dip, but we do it kind of Cubano style.
Okay.
So we press it.
Okay.
And so buttered both top, horseradish mayo, shave French or prime rib, Gruyere, house-made au jus, and then we serve it with Fleet Street chips. We've got chicken thigh.
With orzo.
Yep. And then, like I said, the menu's constantly changing. There's new stuff. And then house-made desserts at all the restaurants.
Dude, cheesecake. Yeah, I mean, I'm going through my list of like, I'll just have all of this shit.
I mean, that's really how I like to eat. I like to go out with friends and crush all the things and just share and be passing around.
Yeah.
It's a thing that not everybody's on board with. A lot of people still like to have their their own salad and then their own entree. And then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
we still have tables at Hush who come in and order 4 New York strips.
Yeah.
And, it's like, all right, I mean, do your thing, but
Yeah.
that seems boring to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Even when just my wife and I go out, we order a bunch of stuff and probably more than we should just to try new things. And,
Yeah.
but that's a lot of how I come up with ideas is I like to go out and eat. I like to be inspired by other chefs and friends of mine and maybe take something that they did and make my own spin on it, or things I see on Instagram and be like, oh, that's cool. What if we use this ingredient instead?
Yeah.
So.
And you guys use a lot of local stuff too.
We try to,
that.
as much as possible. We love to support our local purveyors. There's even a big blackboard in Hush's dining room listed out of all of our local purveyors and people that we use.
Hell yeah.
And not even just food, but I mean, also beer, wine. We partnered with the Shopco to use their Crispy as our Cast Iron Concepts beer. So it's on all of our taps at all the restaurants. And
that's a good one to have.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Nothing with church music, no fire music or anything like that. I was gonna say, Noble Bread. Bread. Yeah. That was one that kind of stood out to me. And then the Freed Street, dude. Anything Freed Street does is incredible.
Yeah, Flip's a good friend. So is Jason at Noble. We've been using both those guys since day one at all the restaurants.
Sonoran Pasta, McLennan's. Dude, this is pretty badass. And then, like you said, you flip it over and over this menu, you got wine and then the cocktails, right? So, you were saying with, kind of this neighborhood, cocktails are kind of what they go towards, right? Yeah,
definitely cocktails. Mitch and Libby from Highball.
Oh yeah.
They've done all of our cocktail programs, so they come in and create the stuff and then train the staff, and they're amazing to work with and super professional, and they have one of the best bars in town
for sure.
So it's a no-brainer to work with them.
Yeah.
And then Regina, our GM here, does a great job with the wine program, constantly bringing in new stuff, and so
love it, man. I love it. And dude, spaghetti, what is
that's
spaghetti?
No, it's a spaghetti.
Oh, spaghetti. Okay. All right.
It's literally a Miller High Life.
Yeah.
With a little bit of lemon and Aperol.
Interesting.
Game changers.
So you just open the bottle and
So we open the bottle, we pour out a shot.
Yeah.
And we give them their little shot of beer and then an ounce of Aperol and a little squeeze of fresh lemon. Dude, they're so crushable.
Man. 6 months ago, I would have crushed a few of those today. Yeah. I'm glad you corrected me too. It's not spaghetti.
Not spaghetti. Okay. It's called the spaghetti. We have the nitro espresso martinis on draft here.
I saw that with Mythic Goat Cold Brew too.
Mm-hmm. Another local.
Yeah.
They do all of our coffee at all of our restaurants.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a good job.
They're awesome.
Really good job. Big Marble. I see, man, it's all over. Local all over, man. I dig it. I really dig it. So we're talking about Barcina, but we got to talk about Hush and you being on Triple D.
Yeah,
that was badass, man.
That was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah,
it was a cool experience. Yeah. I think we got a call back in August of last year, I think, and or maybe it was even like an email or something, and they just said, "Hey, would you be interested?" And I thought about it and I was like, well, I don't know that we're really like any of the three, like a diner, drive-in, or a dive.
Sure.
But I was like, I'm a huge fan of the show and I've been watching it forever. And, anything that's going to kind of promote what we do and showcase that, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then they're like, okay, we'll get back to you. And then weeks went by and I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, we'd like to, interview you. And then we had to go through an interview process, and then we had to, and then it was like, okay, now you're like a finalist to be chosen.
Like a phone interview or okay. Yeah.
So phone interview. And then we had to literally go through the entire menu, ingredient by ingredient, step by step of how we pick everything up, what we use, product, all this. So it was hours on the phone with this guy. Because they really want to be able to showcase scratch food.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't want any pre-made or frozen stuff. So we went through step by step, and then they kind of brought it down to maybe 4 or 5 dishes that they would want to choose. And then Guy actually picks the dishes.
Okay.
So they gave him an option of 6. They, and he has all the ingredients and all the procedures and everything in front of him. And then, So this is maybe late September. They're like, okay, we'll get back to you. And we're like, just waiting. And it's like, and I think I want to say like maybe mid to late October, they called them, congratulations, you're going to be on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Oh, sweet. All right, cool. Like, we're all stoked about it. And they're like, we'll be out there in 2 weeks. And we're like, oh shit.
And you just opened this place like weeks before, right?
I'm trying to think. So no. This was actually, yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah, it was about a month later. We've been open for about a month here.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh shit. And mind you, I just had a baby in June.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, so we got to get it together. They're like, all right, it's a 2-day process. We'll be there, 8 to 10 hours for 2 days of filming. And, we had to have the 2 dishes that they chose, which were the duck fried rice that we do and our braised oxtail, the Italian beef sandwich.
Yeah.
And so we had to have all those things like in different stages prepped and ready so that we can show the searing and then like magic of TV. Like, here it is. And so it was like 2 full days of filming. Guy came through one day for a couple hours to do his part and film and do all that stuff. And it was really cool to kind of see how it all works. And it's a big production. And,
sure.
And they're shaking and moving. And he's very on top of his shit. And he's very like, let's go, hurry up. I got stuff to do, because he's doing like 3 of those a day. And it's just like, he's moving, he's shaking and moving. So
they got it pretty systemized, I assume, huh?
They do. And, and they have different production teams at different locations. So, there's probably 10 or 12 guys here, another 10 or 12 guys at a different spot that he was doing that day. And another, so it's a big crew, but they've been doing it for so long. Like it was very easy, smooth. Everything went well. And overall it was a really great experience. We got lots of compliments from them. They were like, you guys were probably one of the best that we've done as far as like, just everything was dialed in, ready to go. Like there's no waiting around. Like he was telling me that they go to places and like, they got producers back there chopping onions because like they're not ready or they ran out of stuff.
Man.
But our team crushed it. They did such a great job. And and it was cool because we got to bring in a lot of regulars and stuff to come and sit during the taping of it and be a part of it. And so when you see our episode, like there's friends of ours and regulars, like
I love it. I recognize somebody on there too, but let's take a quick break. We got to hear a word from our sponsor.
A real quick reminder, head over to atasteofaz.com and subscribe to our email newsletter. Also, subscribe to A Taste of AZ magazine and get it shipped right to your door. Now let's get back into today's episode.
All right, so I was watching your episode. I was so excited, man. Because I think you're able to announce it like the week of or something like that. Like that's kind of how So I'm like, oh shit, dude, Chef Dom's gonna be on there. So I'm watching it. I'm like, whoa, wait, hold on, rewind that. I'm like, that's Kevin, our accountant.
He's my accountant.
Exactly. Tudor Financial. Big shout out to them. They didn't sponsor this episode, but
he should. Kevin, get on that.
But no, and we met up with him a couple weeks later. I'm like, dude, you're famous now, man. Like that's awesome. But that's pretty cool to be able to kind of share that with your people.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, dude, it doesn't surprise me at all of, how on top of it you and your team were. I mean, just like I said, working with you with the festival and all the things we've worked on with you, dude, you're responsive. You've got your shit together, man.
Thanks, man.
Nice work.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And I know, I can just picture a guy back there cutting up onions and stuff.
Yeah, no way.
What the hell are we doing, dude? But so after, and I've read, I've read about, the experience of being on the show and, how they kind of tell you, hey, look, you should be prepared for an uptick in sales.
Sure.
Obviously. Did you see that?
We did. Yeah. So they filmed in November. And then I believe that the episode aired like late February for the first time. And which was great for us because, that's like peak busy season right before spring training. So we had so many people from out of town coming to spring training who saw the episode and like made reservations. So
nice.
Definitely like a nice boost in sales. And then while they were here, realized like, oh, he has other concepts. So we kind of saw it around the board with all of the restaurants.
Nice. And do you think that there? I mean, even specifically, I guess with Bar Cena and Hush, are there a lot of people that don't realize, like maybe they're regulars at Cena
Mhm.
or Hush, and they don't even realize that, that
Mhm.
this is your place too?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because, Fire at Will's just a couple miles down Shea,
Yeah.
and for me, it's the same neighborhood, but I have
Sure.
people that come here. They're like, oh, it's too far. I'm not driving. It's like out of their bubble of Kierland or
Yeah.
Scottsdale Quarter. And it's like, that's wild to me. It's literally a 5-minute drive, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and we have, loyalists and people who are just like, this is their spot, or Fire at Will's their spot, and that's where they go. And
Yeah.
that's their comfortable spot. And we also have regulars who literally go to all three every week, and
Yeah.
they have their spots and they know what they get on the menu. And that's awesome.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. So where, I don't know if we've done one of these with you. Have we done in one of our issues, like a chef's pick type of thing?
I don't think so.
No, I want to do one with you for sure. So for you, like when you and your wife are going out,
Mhm.
and you guys got one baby, two?
One baby and one due in November.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Nice,
she's
man.
7 months pregnant.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 boys under 2.
Oh,
gonna be
dude,
rough.
I'm telling you, man. And when that number 2 comes, I always tell people it's not 1 + 1. Somehow it's 1 times 7. Like
Yeah.
the second one really kind of throws you for a loop, but it's incredible, man. It's
Yeah.
such a cool thing. And then, dude, having 2 boys like brothers, 2 years apart, like,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
We're stoked for it.
Yeah, you're gonna have some shit break in your house over the years,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but
We're ready
big,
for it.
Yeah, you're a big guy. You can lay the law down. I
Oh,
think. yeah.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, that's kind of funny. I'm the big. My wife is the one that lays down the law. I'm the
Oh, really?
softy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am too. Anytime he wants something, he comes to me for it.
Yeah.
I'm
Y'all
like,
for
oh,
sure.
sure, bud, I got you.
Yeah. I'll be like, I'll go ask mom. They're like, oh, do we have to? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, because I say yes to everything.
Mhm.
But dude, that's awesome. Congratulations,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fatherhood's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, it will push you to your limits, like,
Oh, yeah.
in more ways than one. I mean, just the sleep deprivation, but you're in the industry, so
Yeah.
that kind of comes with the territory. But so when you guys go out, like when you and your wife go out, like what are some of the places you guys like to go here in the Valley?
So many places. We definitely love like Glybon.
Yeah.
Vicina is great.
What is Vicina?
Vicina?
Oh, Vicina on the Indian School,
Yeah,
right?
56 in the school. Yeah.
Yeah.
James Fox is a super talented chef and a good buddy of mine. I've known him forever. We love First and Last downtown.
Yep.
Our friends Rob and Ashley do an amazing job there. Anything by like Armando and those guys.
Yeah.
Santo's been really good. I've gone a couple times there. Anything by TJ, so Progress or Sotis is great.
Okay. Yeah.
I still love Zinc Bistro. That's, a place near and dear to my heart, and it's in
Yeah.
the neighborhood and place I worked at for years and still love going there.
Yeah. That's a good sign,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No, they do
Yeah.
they're doing an amazing job.
That's
and
at Scottsdale.
It's
Quarter,
sentimental to
Kierland.
me. It's in Kierland.
Kierland. Yeah. Yep.
But really, I mean, now that I'm not cooking or in the restaurant every single night, like I'm actually cooking a lot more at home, which has been nice.
Nice.
So
yeah.
it's obviously tough to go out with a 1-year-old.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we haven't been out as much as of recent, but yeah, those are a bunch of spots that we love to hit up.
Nice, man. All great spots for sure. So what's I know you've got a phone full of menu ideas
Oh, sure.
and stuff like that. What's next for you? Like where do you see yourself?
That kind of goes back to like, I'm undecided
Yeah.
as far as what to do next. Food wise, I'd love to do something Italian. That's kind of where my roots are.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
where I'm comfortable. I still love barbecue.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I want to turn my hobby into a job.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And barbecue is not something that can just be easily passed down or taught to somebody. Like it's a lot of work.
Delegation wise.
And just like understanding fire management and
Yeah.
when to turn something or when to cover something up or when to wrap. And it's a lot of hands on. And I don't know that I have the time now to do it. If it was something I would have started with and maybe been a first concept, I'd be fine. But we'll see. I mean, and again, it all depends on the real estate too. Like
sure.
Sometimes like I kind of will let that dictate what it needs to be, or if it's a really good deal in a part of town that is lacking something, because I don't like to say that I only do one thing. Like I like to be able to, and you kind of see it across our menus. Like it's not one style of food. There's Asian, there's Mediterranean, there's Middle Eastern. There's all types of different influences, and that's kind of where I like to pull from. So I've never kind of just went hard on one thing.
Sure.
So
do you have a desire to do that though? I mean, do you, like you say, Italian?
Yeah. Right? Doing Italian and doing pastas and stuff, like that's what I love to eat. I can't eat it as much as I love to, otherwise I'd be 500 pounds. But I don't know. I really, at this point, it's my wife's like, you're not allowed to open the restaurant this year.
That helps. That helps,
we have a baby coming, and with the Vanilla Gorilla, so I've opened technically 4 concepts in 5.5 years. So it's been busy, but I can't sit still. So like now I'm just like waiting for this baby to get here, and then we'll figure something out.
Yeah. I dig it though, man. Like I understand that energy of like you want to, like, you can't, I don't know about you, but I kind of wish I could turn it off sometimes.
Oh,
right?
I wish I could turn it off.
Right. Cause it's fun, but then it's also like, man, like there's all this. But I like the fact it seems like you have a business instinct as well, right? Where that kicks in kind of like, whether it's like, if it's a great opportunity, then or if it's like, and our wives are good at
reeling us in a little bit.
Yeah, being realistic, right? And if your wife is anything like mine, it's coming from a place of love where she's like,
oh, for sure,
just need to chill. Like we just, you're good. It's not trying to shoot down your dreams.
No, Holly's my biggest support. Like there's no way I could do what I do if it wasn't for her. She holds down the house and keeps me good and going. And I just, but at the same time, I have to be realistic, and there's only so many hours in a day. But, when things are running smoothly, there's free time in the day. And then that's where I get antsy.
Sure.
When something goes wrong or something breaks or I got to go do something, or, then it's like my day fills up. But, for the most part, our restaurants run pretty well. Like our managers and chefs are awesome.
Yeah.
And that we've all been working together for so long. So it's like, they make my life easier, but at the same time, it's like, I crave for shit to do, or like, what do you guys need? Like, I'm in here like bugging them. They're like, we're good, man. Go home. Like, so.
Yeah. Well, and with your son right now is what, a little over a year and a half?
No, he turned 1 in June.
I'll just okay. Yeah. So with young son and then another one on the way, that's going to require your home presence, and from what I've, conversations that we've had and just kind of what I know about you, it seems like you have a really good balance, like really good work-life balance.
Yeah. And it's newer over the past couple of years.
Okay.
Obviously, first opening, work-life balance wasn't really there.
Sure.
But it kind of works because my wife also is in the industry and worked front of house. And so she was also working and she gets it, you know? But the first couple of years of opening Hush, I was working crazy hours, and I was here every day, and I was in Expo every night, tasting every plate that went out. And, it was my baby, and it was like, I put all my eggs in this basket, so it's got to work. So now, I make it a little bit more of a priority to like be working out or go to jujitsu or like be at home and spend time with them and the kid and just like give up control. And that was the hardest, right? Like letting go and not looking at every single dish that went out and trusting the team. And it's definitely gotten easier because they've proved themselves to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I trust them, and they run the businesses and make me look good. That's
nice job, team. Nice job. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a sign of a good leader too, right? Like, I mean, you put that work in.
For sure.
Like you laid that groundwork, and it seems like you have really great retention. Like people join your team, and they're not leaving. Like they're invested in this, right?
I mean, all of our team, they've all been with us for years, multiple at this point, and just about all of them worked with me previously at other locations. Yeah. So I've known more than half of them for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So, they're a family at this point. Like,
I dig it, man. And then like I know that feeling too, because when you get to a point where like Rachel joined our team in March, and her main role is helping me with like sales and building relationships and stuff like that. And she's been able to take so much off of my plate that it took me a couple months to be like, what do I do now? You know, because you're so much in the weeds. You're like, you're in it, and you know, and the whole time you're in it, you're like, man, I just want to be out of this. And then once you're out of it, you're like, well, now what the hell do I do?
Right.
You know, but I'm making that adjustment, and I'm really digging it. I'm being able to look at operational side, systemizing things, and you know, really dig deep into the things. You know, so I hope that's the experience that you're having as well.
Yeah, you know, now it's instead of me like just focusing on getting ready for service, now I'm walking around and I'm looking at the lights and I'm like, oh, these can be dimmer. And now we can change this. Or now, you know, we just kind of redid Hush's dining room and added some wainscoting and board and batten, and you know, just kind of reinvesting into the business and seeing where like before it was go, go, go. And like, there was no time for any of those things. Now I'm kind of walking the spaces and like critiquing and being like, oh, this can be better. This can be better. And just constantly trying to make all the stores better.
I dig it. Like fine tuning it, right? Because you get, that's like what we always tell people, like, all right, we got the podcast room, we got the magazine room, we got their festival, the website's doing good. And so people are like, well, what's next? I'm like, focusing on making those the best they can be.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. Because my instinct is like, oh, dude, I'm gonna start another podcast, focus on this. Oh, we're gonna do this. It's like, no, like really, you know, like really make this into what it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's continually changing. It's a very fluid thing where it's like, you know, oh yeah, you know, let's drop the lights, and then you're like, the shit, that don't look good, you know. So you adjust literally, but doing a great job, man. Like I said, you're one of my favorites.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, not just for the execution and the product that you provide, but just as a person, man, you're very well respected, very well liked. I hope you don't mind, but when I tell people, you know, we're trying to get some new vendors on, you know, for this year for the festival, and they're like, oh, who was there last year? And I'm like, Dom from Hush, you know. So I always throw your name out there. Oh shit, Dom was there. Yeah. So yeah, dude, you're doing awesome stuff. So
thank you.
So keep up the good work, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And next place, well, we got to do something at Fire at Will now.
Yeah,
we can hit. We got to hit all three. So
all right. Sounds good.
Maybe we'll do like I want to do something focused on like burgers at some point, and so maybe we can just do an episode about burgers. That's the idea that I have. We'll put this on here. We'll see if the editorial team listens to this. But I want to do something like building the perfect burger type of thing, right? Like, you know, something a little bit different in our magazine. So I don't know. We'll pitch that to the team, but I would want you to do it, like building the perfect burger.
That'd be cool.
And the research for that is I get to eat the burger over at Fire Will. Or wait, it is the Hush burger. So it's Hush.
So it is the Hush burger, but it is at Fire at Will.
Okay.
And we call it that because we started it at Hush.
Yeah.
You know, and but it was never meant to be a burger at Hush, and it was just something regulars were requesting, and so we made 12 a day on Wednesdays, and it got a bunch of hype, and then I took it off because, you know, we'd run out of a burger at 5:05 because people line up at the bar.
Yeah.
Crush a burger, and then people would be coming in for their dinner reservation at 7:00, like, oh, I want a burger, and we're like, sold out. And then they just like rip us apart on Yelp and be like, this, what the fuck? How do you run out of burgers? It's like, well, you get whatever.
Because we don't do burgers.
Well, it's like I was literally cooking them in my grandmother's like 100-year-old cast iron.
Yeah.
You know, smashing them to order. And I just the kitchen wasn't built for that. So when we opened Fire at Will, like, all right, we'll put the burger on the menu. I built like a huge flat top specifically for it. You know, because we sell a shit ton of burgers. So so it's the Hush burger because that's what everybody knows it as, but it's at Fire at Will.
I dig it, man. I dig it. Well, and what's kind of stood out, I think it's the burger. It has government cheese, right?
It sure does.
The fact, like we were, because I think I had to have been at Hush when I was kind of reading the menu, but I'm like, well, government cheese. I was telling my friends, I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's my all-time favorite. They're like, you mean like Velveeta? I'm like, yeah, but better. Like the government cheese was way better than Velveeta. But yeah, man. So yeah, we'll dig into the whole burger side of things at another time. But yeah, dude, thanks for making the time to.
My pleasure.
Thanks
for coming.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So all right, man. Well, I think we're gonna get some shots of some drinks and some.
Yeah, we got some food and some drinks for you guys.
Beautiful. All right, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.